voice of the fifth brother. That's, oh my gosh. I'm blanking on the poor man's name right now. You're gonna have to get that to them, because that tells you how many episodes he's in. But I'm so sorry. Yeah, it slips my mind at the moment.
Was that Amy who asked?
Yeah.
I'll get it to you.
Yeah, sorry. So I know there's so many characters anymore. I don't know a lot about Star Wars. When you realize that, this will go much smoother. Who are you?
Okay, next.
Yeah, Dave, I'm just curious how long it takes from like the entire process for each episode, how long that process is.
It takes a long time. You know, I've always rounded it. It takes, if you think of it in terms of a year per episode, we've gotten it down less than that nowadays. Rebels is actually made considerably faster than Clone Wars was. Clone Wars was easily a year. This, we have it down, I like to be generic and just say several months. But at the end of the day, from script to screen, to shoot an episode, right, once I have the script and it's locked, so I give it to an episodic director, and I hand off all the kind of staging and screen direction, what we want to happen. That takes about 6 weeks to actually just shoot it so that it's rough proxy, and then I send it to Disney, and then they send it back, and then we all talk about what we like and don't like. Get 2 additional weeks to revise that reel. Once that 8-week period is over, right, it goes into animation lighting, and we're just running at that point all the way till we get it back. Probably, that takes about 3 months all said. I've got one more shot when it comes back in color to change anything that's horrifically wrong or embarrassing, and or to get something right that's not working, and then final, sound design and music. And I don't believe in the statement fix it in post. By that point, it's usually too late. So, but at every point, everything's evolutionary in Star Wars up to the last moment. So there was a case just a couple weeks ago where I was getting rid of a couple lines of dialogue in final sound lock. It just hits you wrong. I've come to the decision that over time that it's trusting that instinct when you're watching something and you just have the slightest little tick of, that's lame. But you have to stop and get rid of it. You have to crush that, and it's harder than you think. But it can make a big difference in the episode. That's what it ultimately comes down to. So, but I always think of it in terms of, I'd say Rebels is more like 8 months. Depends when you count the story started, really, from its inception.
Dave, I was curious as why you guys had premiered the Siege of Lothal in July, and now season out debuts in October. Was there a strategy as far as why you guys released that in July, and then we had to wait so long now?
It's an interesting thing to me. I don't have a lot to do with that. If you ask me right now, like, Dave, what time, when did the show start? I don't even know. There's a whole bunch of things. I'm so busy making the show, and we're running so fast that, like, someone will say, hey, I saw the episode last night. I'm like, great. That's not the world that I'm in anymore, because Star Wars is just happening 24 hours a day. But what I found fascinating this year was when Clone Wars would end and then the next season would start, for whatever reason, it didn't ever feel like that big a period. This felt like a long time to me. Like, even to me, if you just saw, I empathize with the wait that fans have had. The only thing I can say is there's so much Star Wars news every day. I can't imagine anyone's ever lacking for Star Wars information. I mean, this is like, everything in my feed is Star Wars news, Steelers and Penguins. That's about it. Pirates every now and then. But that's about all I get. So at least there's a lot of Star Wars to talk about, but yeah, I don't know what the grand strategy was. I like to think people are just so excited to have Darth Vader and some stuff. They couldn't wait to release it. And at Celebration, we had a great opportunity. We like to connect very directly with fans of Lucasfilm. So to fill a room up with fans and have them watch Vader, and we're all in the room together, was an awesome opportunity, because I had a lot of key creatives from my team there that don't get to do events like this. A lot of that for the actors, I think it's important for them to hear the audience, what they react to, what they don't. So it's an exciting experience. It's an educational one for my crew. So I think that was a huge opportunity for us at that time.
So obviously it's really exciting to have Ahsoka and Rex back in the mix.
Ahsoka, not. Right.
Well, let's say Wolf.
The orange one. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
But how much will they be sort of part of the crew on a regular basis? Will they kind of come in and out? And if they do come in and out, will we get a good idea of what sort of adventures they're having when we're not seeing them?
Well, you know, luckily I like T and Ashley. They're nice people, so hanging out with them isn't a problem. So they can be in a decent amount of episodes. But their story had to serve the story of the Rebels. That was the most important thing. I couldn't just haphazardly bring them in because I like them. You know, I love the characters Ahsoka and Rex. It was hard to let them go after so long telling their stories, but it had to be purposeful. So for a long time on season 1, I didn't even want to have them in it. It would be brought up to me by different members of the story group, I think because they wanted to be nice and say, well, David, we're open to this. I'm like, yeah, but it's not right. Kanan, Hera, Ezra, Sabine, Zeb, they have to own that space. And everybody knew. So once you know them and you understand their character dynamics, to sit there and say, suddenly you're around the table and you go, wow, I wonder what Kanan would think of Rex. And you realize he probably wouldn't think much of Rex. That's very challenging because the kids that grow up with Rex love Rex. But if I was able to create a group of kids that love Rex, and they also separately loved Kanan, and now we have a conflict. But you also have a boy that didn't know the Clone Wars, like any kid that didn't watch the Clone Wars. So they would go, well, what's the problem with Rex? So that we found really interesting, and that helped serve the relationship of Kanan and Ezra really well. And then this one here, Ahsoka, really helps serve the story as far as if you want to have Vader in Rebels, you can't just bring him into it because he's going to crush them. Like, they don't stand a chance, you know? Ahsoka has a personal connection to Anakin Skywalker that we believe people are interested in what's that side of the story. People are interested in what's Vader like before he realizes his son is alive. And so that became important. Plus, she's a force wielder that's way more progressed, no offense, Freddie, than Kanan. She had much more training, you know, from Anakin Skywalker directly, one of the greatest of all Jedi, from Obi-Wan Kenobi, from Yoda. So she brings that lineage to the Rebels, but a perspective which is, yeah, that didn't work for me. I walked away from it, which is also challenging then when you get to Ezra, because he's a kid, one of the first kids that's growing up where there is no Jedi Order. There is no temple for him to go to. There aren't 10,000 examples of what it means to be a great Jedi Knight. He's making it up being a student as he goes, as much as Kanan now has to make up the training based on his memory of when he was a child. Those are all interesting story problems for Star Wars Rebels to have that you know, made it worthwhile to bring these two into it.
Disney and Lucasfilm have started opening up the tone of what Star Wars could be with different types of films, and it seems like you're getting a lot of room to open up and explore those avenues on both Clone Wars and then now Rebels. How is that for you, getting to find new places where Star Wars can kind of breathe and find a new identity? And how is that for the cast, being able to breathe a life into a franchise we all know, but give it a little twist and a modern spin?
I think for me, and if you guys should go, it's really just about the opportunities we have for the characters, and if that means, you know, that things have to get a little darker at times, then it has to. You know, as you learn more about these guys in the beginning of season 1, now in season 2, their life has to get more complex. So it's a natural story course for me. The only challenge I find creatively when writing it at times is that kids now have cell phones and devices that, you know, probably work better than the communicators they had in A New Hope. So, you know, 3PO could have just put the comm on vibrate instead of shutting it off, and then he probably would have known they were in a trash compactor, I don't know. But you know, think a little bit about those things. But it, you know, I don't know, it's about the character opportunity for me. You guys want to answer? Be part of Star Wars.
Well,
you need to repeat the question?
The opportunities you're getting to explore the tone, like, you know, Kanan and Ezra have a more humorous back and forth than Obi-Wan and Luke ever had. It's more
Yeah.
brotherly.
No, but there's a, like Dave said, everything is with a reason. It's brotherly because Kanan sucks at it. He doesn't know how to be a master. He was on the run at the age that he finds Ezra, so he's making it up as he goes. He's hustling the way he did as a kid. He literally says, "I don't know what Yoda meant, just do it." You know what I mean? Like that's in his moments of honesty. You know what I mean? But you certainly see him try to commit to the role of master, and sometimes he looks like an idiot because he doesn't know. But it's like fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? And I think when he has that moment with Yoda in season 1, and it's just a simple line where he says, "Oh, so you're a master," basically, and you just everything kind of closes up on Kanan real quick because he's like, "No, I'm not." And so from that moment on, I think once it's like anything, once you're not afraid to fail, then you rarely fail. And once he's not afraid of being a master, he becomes a pretty good master. And you see that at the end when it's a lesson that they taught in Clone Wars all the time and everything is once there's no attachment, once the Ezra attachment's gone, the Inquisitor gets the hell kicked out of him. And he even tells him, he's like, "That was a mistake." Like that's the line that they wrote, like, you would have beat us, but you just messed up and you killed the one thing that was holding me back. So I think he's learning at an advanced level the way anyone in the streets would learn, and I have a lot of fun doing that. But and I don't know if you meant it, you know, literally, but I don't feel it's a modern twist on Star Wars because I feel it's much more of a throwback to the original trilogy, just in the look and the style and the vibe, and it's certainly what the older movies are what inspires my performance. I'm not taking many contemporary things except I stole the thing Lawrence Fishburne did in Deep Cover.
Wait, really? With Deep Cover?
Yeah, he had this moment with Jeff Goldblum where Jeff Goldblum kills Clarence Williams III. And Lawrence Fishburne's like, and it's that moment that was a mistake where he's like, "Oh, I can't say it because it's dirty words and this is Disney Channel and that was a hardcore movie." But he's basically saying, "Jeff Goldblum, you're done." And that I took it and made it Jedi-ish and made it my own, and that's the Kanan moment. To 187 by Snoop Dogg.
Dave, how is it to see the characters kind of evolve with their relationships and their skills since 10 years ago with Ahsoka, and now with these characters' second season, as they are kind of getting stronger and better and their relationship is changing?
Yeah, it's a different type of evolution because, you know, as I said, Ahsoka was in a system where she was trained at a temple and she had a very formal system of teaching, at least before she met Anakin. And Anakin kind of changes that. But with these guys, we have a much more diverse group of characters as far as, you know, some are just weapons experts, some are great pilots. One's making it up as he goes, one's a clear-cut warrior. So it's been interesting to develop, you know, we spend less time on what their skills are and more time on developing who the people are. And I think in season 2, what's most exciting is you will learn a lot more about where they came from and what drove them to the position they're in on Star Wars Rebels, which I think a lot of people wanted in season 1. Like, for example, if you didn't know the Clone Wars, you got a whole lot today as far as Kanan having to explain to Ezra what happened to him and why he feels the way he does about Rex. And you'll have episodes where we'll just focus in on, like, Hera, and it's all about her. We have more than one this year, actually, which explains kind of 2 parts of your backstory. Like, you know, one is very much you as the pilot and what that's about, and one, I'll just say, because I'm in the mood today, which just gets into her family and her father and why is she not a part of Ryloth and what has happened there, because her father was a big revolutionary in Clone Wars, so you almost think it'd be natural that she be alongside him. So we get very specifically into those character backgrounds in season 2, which I think we all found really exciting.
If Tia and Taylor were here, maybe you got a secret about that.
Yeah,
There's some
who
good
to
ones.
be mad at.
there's an awesome one about Tia though that is in we have a new trailer we're gonna debut next week.